On the evening of October 30th, 1975, Martha Moxley, a 15-year-old high school student from the affluent community of Greenwich, Connecticut, went to a party on Chappaquiddick Island, a small private island off Martha's Vineyard. The Moxley family had recently moved into the area, and Martha was eager to make new friends. At some point during the party, Martha was last seen by her friends around 9 p.m., walking away from the party to her home. Later that evening, she was found brutally murdered on the grounds of the Skakel family estate, located near her home. Martha's body was discovered the next morning by a neighbor, her friend Franklin Gifford, who had been searching for her. She was found lying in the grass, badly beaten, and partially covered with a pair of her own clothes. She had been struck multiple times in the face with a 6-iron golf club that was found near her body. There were no signs of sexual assault, but the brutal nature of the attack and the weapon used suggested an extremely violent and personal crime. The initial investigation quickly pointed to the Skakel family as potential suspects. The Skakel family, who were part of the wealthy Kennedy political dynasty, were well known in the area, and the case quickly garnered significant media attention. At the time, Michael Skakel, the 17-year-old nephew of Ethel Skakel Kennedy, was questioned about his whereabouts the night of Martha's murder. He claimed that he had been at home, watching television, but investigators noted inconsistencies in his alibi. Additionally, several witnesses later came forward, claiming they had heard Michael and Martha arguing in the hours before her murder. As the investigation progressed, attention increasingly focused on Michael Skakel, who had known Martha and had even been described as a romantic interest of hers. Michael, whose family had long been associated with the powerful Kennedy clan, was often seen as a privileged and arrogant teenager with a troubled personality. In 1978, the Skakel family hired a private investigator to track down information, but the case remained cold for several years. Michael Skakel went on to lead a relatively normal life, but in the early 1990s, new evidence began to surface. In the late 1990s, new revelations came to light that would change the course of the investigation. A former schoolmate, Gregory Coleman, came forward with a disturbing account. He claimed that Michael had confessed to him in 1976, a year after Martha's murder, that he had been the one to kill Martha. Michael reportedly told Gregory that he had gone to Martha's house intending to have sex with her, but after an argument he became enraged and murdered her with the golf club. Additionally, several other people testified that Michael had made odd and incriminating statements about the murder in the years following the crime. In 2002, Michael Skakel was arrested and charged with second-degree murder in the killing of Martha Moxley. His trial, which took place in 2003, was highly publicized due to his connection to the Kennedy family and the long time that had passed since the murder. In 2003, Michael Skakel was convicted of second-degree murder after jurors found that the evidence and witness testimonies were sufficient to prove his guilt. He was sentenced to 20 years to life in prison. However, his conviction was controversial, and many people, including Skakel's defense team, argued that the evidence was not strong enough to convict him beyond a reasonable doubt. In 2013, after spending more than a decade in prison, Michael Skakel was granted a new trial. In 2016, the Connecticut Supreme Court overturned Michael Skakel's conviction, ruling that his defense attorney had provided ineffective assistance during his trial. The court determined that Michael Ida's trial lawyer had failed to pursue a solid defense strategy and had overlooked crucial evidence that could have helped exonerate him. Michael Skakel was released from prison on May 4, 2016, after spending 11 years behind bars for a crime he allegedly committed. However, in 2018, the Connecticut Supreme Court ruled that Michael's release was unconstitutional, and in 2019, he was sent back to prison, where he remains to this day. The identity of the person responsible for the brutal murder of Martha Moxley remains controversial. While Michael Skakel was convicted and later released after a series of legal battles, many believe that there is still insufficient evidence to fully prove his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. For now, the Moxley case remains one of the most controversial and infamous murder trials in American history. Michael Skakel's conviction, subsequent release, and the ongoing legal drama leave many unanswered questions about the true identity of the killer.